like Christopher Reeves. Back broken and a roll up my sleeves. Boom, hey, like Christopher Reeves. Boom, back broken and a roll up my sleeves. Boom, boom, boom.
What is going on, guys? It's Adam A.K. Marf, and we are back with a ton of stories. So stay right there. We'll be right back right after this.
Song, hey, like Christopher Reeves. Song, back broken and a roll up my sleeves. Song, hey, like Christopher Reeves. Song, back broken and a roll up my sleeves.
Remember, nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of myself, Dex, or anyone else who works for the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. All right. With that out of the way, my name is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We have a ton of stuff to cover in a short amount of time. Of course, Dex was out of play for a couple days there. Happy Memorial Weekend. I hope all of you guys had a good vacation or whatever. We actually did ours the weekend before. So again, we got a lot of stuff done. As many of you have been waiting for, we have a community building. We've talked about an app, again, for Android and Apple. There have been many setbacks, but our community, as far as that goes, the community app that we're going to be launching, or the community that we have, that we will need a lot of help for, because we're going to need to be able to moderate that. So we'll let you know in the coming weeks how that's going to come together. Of course, that's to replace the Discord. So let's get straight into it. First off, though, if you want to follow along, we make sure to back up every single story that we show you here. If, in fact, before every single show, we show you a video, an article, a picture, a document, it's all going to be backed up and archived on our website. Now, when you go to our website, you'll see it's very easy to navigate. In fact, if you're me, you just got to refresh. You'll see that you'll look for today's thumbnail. Can Elon save the world? Is Elon secretly trying to save us? And I'll explain exactly why I think he is a part of the plan. I don't think it's crazy at all to once you see kind of what is going on. But this has all of the articles, so you can grab a second device and you can follow along, or you can go back later and read all of the articles without even watching the show. If you want to support us in any way, all of our sponsors, EMP Shield is actually doing a Memorial Day sale. There's, I believe, running out of time that we actually asked, since we didn't do shows, to extend that sale, and they are most likely going to extend it in another 12 to 24 hours for our audience. So make sure to use the code Marfoogle. Just use our code, our link, marfooglenews.com/EMP, and you should be able to get in there. Let's bring in Dex, my co-host / internet brother. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So we've got so much to cover here. There's floods in China. We, of course, have UFO news coming out. The Pentagon has been talking about all of this. The community has been talking about this. We have Russia. We have China. We have a lot of stuff that the mainstream is not talking about, of course. So let's get straight into it. Just a quick reminder, though, make sure to get our notifications. If you have not, go to marfooglenews.com. You can get push notifications directly to your phone whenever we go live. All right, and then we have, of course, 9 U.S. Navy warships were swarmed up to 100 UFOs in a 1-month period. So these things were supposedly swarming Navy ships. Now, there was something that our previous president has just recently said, which I almost think is going to kind of burst a lot of bubbles. What T-Man said is that he actually made a reference to this, and I don't have the exact quote, but basically he said that I know that a lot of people either, think of UFOs as something in their dreams or something in their fears. He goes, without saying too much, he basically said, I just hope that it doesn't turn out to be something that's more along the lines of fears. Now, he could have meant many things like that. Of course, he had clearance. He, of course, knows a lot more than the average public. Does he mean that the fears as in these UFOs are another country, or fears as in these are a malevolent race about to come grab us? I've been talking about this, of course, the entire time on YouTube, but I've also talked about it since Scout or Oumuamua came by. I thought that was a very strange instance. Of course, it was scientifically strange and scientifically one of the most unique things that's ever happened. If you remember, I want to say that was after or before the Sunspot Observatory got shut down and Black Hawk helicopters swooped in and all this other stuff. And then Space Force was formed. And then, of course, we have all of these space missions and space simulations done by NASA and FEMA. Of course, supposedly money going across tables, preparing for something that hasn't even happened yet. But on top of that, Oumuamua came in, and when it swooped by, it was our first interstellar object that we have ever observed. And when it swooped by, it sped up as it left. And when you actually look at it, of course, you know, the kind of 3D model of it can be kind of deceiving because it could be thousands of miles away, but in the picture of things, it looks like it goes right by Earth. Some say it actually did come extremely, as far as close, you know, in the terms of things, compared to like where Moon is and where everything is. It did come close, and then it swooped up and sped up and left our galaxy. So it was very strange. They named it Scout. Oumuamua means scout, and I believe in Hawaii or Pacific Island. Again, crazy instance there. Since then, a lot of people theorized that it was a UFO. Even Harvard professors came out and said that. As that left, then we had a second interstellar object come in. What are the odds of that? Then we had all of these missions. We had Space Force. We had all of these different weird things that have come out of nowhere. And now we have mainstream pushing down our throats that UFOs may be real. Are they getting prepared to tell us something big, and they have to basically put the seed in our mind because all of our brains are about to be melted? What do you guys think? Put it in the chat below. Thank you, everybody that's come in so far. Again, there's around 1,400 here very early. Thank you so much for showing up. What do you think? Now, it says the U.S. Navy ships were surrounded by up to 100 UFOs over a 1-month period, according to a filmmaker. Of course, a lot of people have been talking about Jeremy Corbell, shared new radar footage on Thursday, May 27th, on his Instagram of 9 unidentified objects appearing on radar from the USS Omaha. Now, why did they give this gentleman permission to go on these ships and things like that? Dex, do you know how he got, access to this?
Well, it seems like everybody else has done a FOIA and gotten video images, or people have just leaked them. So maybe this is another leak that's coming through, or maybe he did some other request for it. Obviously, this kind of information doesn't just get out into the public unless it was meant to. So you've got to always put that lens on it, right?
Well, but I mean, there are genuine leaks that happen, and especially back when WikiLeaks was around, there was anonymous ways to get leaks out, and there was a lot coming out. That's why, that might have saved a man's life, because some of those leaks still have not come out. But as far as this goes, why is it all coming out now? And a lot of people are asking that question. Is it because this is a giant distraction? I wouldn't want people to just think it is a distraction. It very well could play into bigger things, and it could play into why everything is happening right now. We don't know. I think that a lot of things have things in common right now, and people are told to not see connections when there are a ton. So what do you?
No matter whether it's truth or fiction, right? It doesn't matter. The fact is they're pushing this, so we need to understand. And like you said, try to identify the connections and figure out what is real and what does it really mean, right?
Exactly.
They're pushing it, and they're all pushing it, and pushing it hard.
As a famous song would say, push it real good. I think that's the song. Yeah. Anyways, I'm actually making sure that I get this tweet out here. In fact, that
would be Salt and Peppa, right?
So, yes, Salt and Peppa, to be official about it. Should we put a source to that? I don't want people to say that we didn't source our material. Say a YouTube video of Salt and Pepper. Push it real good. Okay. Let's move on. NASA's Curiosity rover shows us what cloudy and colorful days on Mars look like. Clouds are rare on Mars and usually only pop up at the coldest time of the year near the planet's equator, supposedly. One Martian year ago, though, NASA noticed some clouds forming in the sky above its veteran Curiosity rover and became determined to document them the following year. In recent months, Curiosity got to work taking some amazing photos of Colorado that show us what cloudy days are like in the red planet and broadening our understanding of how clouds form far, far away from the military base. NASA refers to these unexpected clouds simply as, quote, early clouds at the moment. In an announcement, NASA said that the Curiosity team has already made one new discovery about the early clouds from the rover's photos, that they're at Earth. And they're at higher altitude than usual. Those of us that aren't cloud experts, guilty though, in my defense, I think clouds are very cool. Might not find that too significant at first glance, but it's actually an important distinction that lets us know what the clouds are made of. Now, just the other day, my wife and I were talking about it, and we're talking about clouds. It's straight up ice. It's water and ice. A lot of people, I've talked to adults that don't know this. We had a conversation with a whole party of people, and people were surprised. They thought there was other stuff in it. Most clouds are just crystallized water into ice molecules that float above us. Now, today, in today's day and age, that I don't believe is true. In fact, I think more than half are made up of something else, if you know what I mean. But that can be a matter of opinion. So I'll leave that one out. All right, and then we have space debris hit and damaged the International Space Station. It says the inevitable has occurred. A piece of space debris too small to be tracked has hit and damaged a part of the International Space Station, namely the Canadarm2 robotic arm. The instrument is still operational, but the object punctured the thermal blanket and damaged the boom beneath. It's a sobering reminder that low Earth orbit space junk problem is a ticking time bomb. I say boom in other words, if you're new here, differently because they are filter words. So again, somebody can explain that in the chat. Okay, so first off, I told you that over the last 3 years, I've told you that they've talked a lot about space junk and they've talked about everything that's going in. We have observed and we've shown you the facts behind sightings of things coming in our atmosphere have quadrupled. This, we actually have shown you the information, where we got it and where that source is coming from. The sightings are broken down into, so say an asteroid or anything comes into our atmosphere and breaks up. The sightings are broken into, say, one person, more than 10, more than 100, more than 1,000. And all of those categories have gone up. In fact, most all of those categories have gone up by 4 just in the last 3 or 4 years. So why are all of a sudden all these people seeing stuff come into our atmosphere? Now, some could say, well, now everybody has cell phones. People have had cell phones for 20 years, and there's plenty of people looking up. In fact, think about how long we've had actually good quality cell phones. At least 10 years that could take pictures at night. Probably longer than that. It's 2021 now. So why all of a sudden are we seeing all of this increase? Some would say, well, we're doing a whole lot more in space. They're sending up a lot of satellites. Starlink is sending up one after another. And of course, we know that Starlink has told us that, a giant explosion where if somebody was in the capsule they were testing, it was obliterated and it exploded. They described it as a slight anomaly. So if something from Starlink did fall down or come back into atmosphere, do you think that they would tell us? Probably not. It would probably hurt stocks and rich people's pockets. But on top of that, I told you that I believed that Starlink was part of a planetary defense system. Now there is evidence to back that up. I told you this 3 years ago, but far before we found out exactly that. Part of Starlink's system is a sensor that can sense hypersonic speed items, and that includes hypersonic missiles. So a lot of the things that we have talked about and had our military group tell us have all come true. So that tells you, again, people say, oh, you're patting yourself on the back. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I'm trying to let you know that we do have a fun time here. But at the same time, I hope that people do get ready. We told you guys about the current demic where we all covered our face 4 months and 3 months before it happened. And we told you so specifically, we said stock up on masks because you're going to need them. And people gave us crap. So we only did it for 1 or 2 shows and then stopped putting the link out there. But again, those are all time-stamped, and you can go back in time and check that out for yourself. If you're new, ask anybody. There was a lot of people that were ready for CV and all of the empty shelves because of this show. So with that being said, here is my opinion. And again, this is my opinion, just to clarify, is that everyone should be ready for any kind of disaster, but specifically, I think that power outage, any kind of supposed asteroid-related fault, which now they are doing tons of simulation and war games for, and they just said that we cannot defend, current technology cannot defend us against asteroids, or, again, something to do with our power grid. So I hope people are paying attention to that. I hope people are listening, because the signs and everything are out there. To anybody that would be critical of what I'm saying right now, I would just ask you to please look at the stuff that we've actually posted, the NERC reports, what the DOD has said, what the DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, has said. And to anybody that you have friends and family that are skeptical about this, we actually back up all of this with info that comes from official sources from the government, stuff that is not publicized and not talked about. So again, with all this space junk, what the hell is really going on? They've now come out, DOD has come out and said that they've weaponized space. They've straight up weaponized China and Russia. They've said that. And that was 3 or 4 days right after the Beirut stuff. So I don't know. That was, of course, a lot of people say it's just a coincidence. Of course, I would just say everybody should think really hard and solid about what would it look like if something was weaponized in space. Maybe like a amphibious assault carrier catching fire for 5 days without an accelerant in port in China. No, not battling, but in port, just sitting at the dock, catches fire for 5 days. And then that exact same kind of ship, only on our military, our Navy, amphibious assault carrier, very specific type of ship that drops boats out the back, caught fire for 4 or 5 days in port, not in battle. Think about it. But of course, they can just put a headline and tape it over and go, okay. People just go, sure. So what is really happening here? They say that I think that this is a setup for they're putting the seed in our head that space junk is a growing, ticking time boom. Again, stuff is going to start coming in, and they're going to go, it could be a satellite, it could be whatever, right? And they're showing us that the space junk is now becoming the problem that they prophesized. They've been talking about this for a long time. Now they're saying it's happening. By the way, just to check that out, there's a movie that they did fictionally. I believe it was Gravity, where I think it was Gravity, where it was.
Yes.
What was his name? George Clooney?
Yeah, George Clooney.
And Sandra Bullock are in space, and one of the satellites hits another satellite and starts a domino effect, knocks out power grid, knocks out satellite images, knocks out GPS, knocks out everything. But in space, it basically keeps rotating around the Earth, and throughout the whole movie, they're waiting for the next batch to come around and hit them. So that's the kind of thing that even Hollywood is preparing. And if you don't know, Hollywood is directly connected, at least throughout history, with CIA and different missions. If you didn't know that, look at all of the different projects that CIA and all of them have done with Hollywood. In fact, they've funded a ton of movies, including Red Dawn 2012. I didn't know that was actually partly funded and brought together by the U.S. government. How do you think they get all those tanks? How do you think they get all that equipment? They could rent it, right? Well, they would be renting other countries' stuff. To rent, grade A U.S. stuff, you have to have them approve the script, have them approve everything. So think about that. Going back, though, I do want to show you that these are the clouds that they showed you on the rover. Dex, I did miss that. Thank you for putting that in there. This is kind of a rotation of 3 pictures. This is... What does that
Adam,
look like to you?
There's only a few frames because I think maybe in frame 4 or 5, maybe it was a Southwest jet came in to frame and they had to cut it. I don't know.
No, it was Delta. Gosh, that's hilarious. This straight up looks... are they supposed to have clouds on Mars? Like, I know they have dust storms.
Us. They told us that there's now clouds on the equator of Mars, so only in the winter.
This, I mean, like... It looks like Arizona or something. I don't know, or yeah. Anyways, and I'm not saying it is. Again, just I look at things and I'm like, how did we not know about clouds on Mars? We know about dust storms and all of this stuff. And okay. Reminder though, before we get any further, right now there is the Memorial Sale, which we didn't do shows, so we didn't have a chance to tell you. But Memorial Weekend. Can you tell them more about it? Again, we're going to end it tonight.
Save up to 15%. In addition to the fact that the Fugel fam gets the $50 off just using our code, which is MARF. And if you don't worry about the code, just go to marfugelnews.com/EMP. It'll automatically put it in there for you. But yeah, you can double up. So you can basically get double discounts, and everybody loves it when they do this because it's the best time to buy. And if you missed the last window, which I know a lot of people were excited about, here's your second chance. So I think it's 10% on one and 15% on it if you get more. And of course, it's $50 each one using our code. So you get to double up.
Well, again, thank you guys for those of you that support. Again, that can actually protect you against all 3 phases of an EMP. It's kind of a no-brainer in my book. I actually think that the U.S. government and actually the whole world, this should be part of infrastructure makeup. This should not, and this is something that I actually think that, you shouldn't even have to pay for. And before you say anything, I think that this should be included as like a requirement for houses. If you're going to sell a house.
You know where they could have put those, Adam? They could, they spent all that money making those smart meters that we went out of our way to like try and cover up and not get the RF stuff from.
Yep.
They could have just put those in to smart meters and it would have been so much better, right? To have every home out there have one of these built in, because it could work that way.
And they forced it too. So it's like, as far as, but you have to sell a house, or if you have to do something, you have to have, it has to be by code, right? There are certain things that you have to do to sell a house, and you can't have it dilapidated, or you have to declare it that way. As far as this goes, I think that that's something that should be included, because it's compared to the rest of the stuff. You have to have $20,000 roofs over a house. Why can't you have a $200 or $300 device that actually protects the country? Doesn't make sense. All of the military bases and everybody else is protecting themselves with technology, not only like this, but with this. So they're working with DHS, DOD, and, of course, with the DEMSO team, protecting Texas grid. Okay, over to the chat. Thank you, Prepper Blanketh, Shaylin Rains, Kiss the Sky. We've got One on B, Saves Yourself Sheeple. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Kelly, the Guy Fox, WT, Prill Knight, Anthony Williams, Daryl Calhoun, Bubba One, SWAT for Hire. Let's see here. Galvin Hellbold. Thank you guys for all showing up tonight. All right. Let's see here. 2,500 watching over on the Tube. And it looks like we've got a good audience over on DLive as well. So thank you, everybody that showed up. Thank you, Sean Penrod. Thanks for all of the info. Well, thank you so much for your support. Kelly2334, thank you for your continued support with the Ninja Genie over there. Let's see here. Bling and Grammy, thank you. Jones1 Dave, another Ninja Genie from Kelly2334. Thank you so much. Earth Observer says, down the rabbit hole we go. Thank you. And then The Truth Is Out There is here. What's going on? I appreciate you guys. And then Doc Bill, thank you. A mass grave containing the remains of 215 little ones has been found in Canada at a former residential school set up to assimilate indigenous people. I did not know that. I will be looking into that. Hopinson says, love to all Fugels. Thank you so much. Eliza Nunez, thank you for the $20 super chat. That is much appreciated. Thank you so much. And, of course, Mary Kelly Remmel, thank you as well for the super chat. You can always write a message there if you would like. All right. By the way, we will be having calls at 224-400-MARF tomorrow. Make sure to make tomorrow's show. We fixed our phone system. As you guys know, last week we were having a lot of problems. That is now resolved. So we will be continuing calls tomorrow. The best dark matter map date raises questions about the universe. Scientists in the Dark Energy Survey have just released the best dark matter map yet, but it's not answering every question. If anything, the cosmos may be more mysterious than ever. Supposedly, it says, as BBC News, Nature, and Fermilab report, the survey of 5,000 degrees used weak gravitational lensing, in this case high gravity from nearby galaxies, affects the views of distant ones, to look for large patches of dark matter in relatively close sections of the universe. Now, Dex, do you want to say why this would, why this comes across?
Yeah, this to me is totally a giant setup to say everything we know about the way the universe, or what we've been taught about the universe, potentially can change. They're basically saying, hey, this stuff that we just started mapping, it looks really weird now, and it doesn't even match up to what we've been studying. So, and ultimately they say that. They say, hey, we're going to have to go back and rethink. And so we'll see what plays out from this research. But when you put all this together with what's coming out from, the release this month, I guess, or starting tomorrow is the beginning of June. So we'll start to hear the information that's going to come out from DOD about, UAPs. We hear about space junk, and now we're going to hear about, there's this new thing in the universe that it really isn't necessarily the way we think it is. So that probably sets up a little bit of us to be prepared for some changes in the information we know about.
So they're setting us up to basically let us know. And if you go deep into this, it's basically telling us that everything may not be what it seems. Also, I think that this hides the fact, this actually kind of puts in there that things may be hiding. So just be ready for that. Let's see. It says, well, the high detail is... I'm sorry, I shouldn't skip this part. Team members conducted observations using 570 megapixel camera at the Victor M. Blanco telescope at Chile's Cerro Tololo Observatory between 2013 and 2019. While the high detail is helpful, it also validated concerns that have been floating around for years. The DES results indicate that the universe is slightly smoother and more uniform than expected. While that largely supports current theories that dark energy is a constant, the discrepancy is enough that researchers might want to rethink existing ideas. The universe may not behave quite like scientists thought, and dark matter map could lead to new models that challenge previous assumptions. Basically telling us that things are about to change in the history books again. So, just watch. Then we have the Tianzhou 2 docks with China's space station module. Remember, they're all separating. They're all doing their own thing now. And before we had this space treaty, I think that very soon we're going to see a complete separation of these countries. China Tianzhou 2 cargo spacecraft docked with the Tianhe space station module in low Earth orbit Saturday, 8 hours after launch from Wenchang Spaceport. And the uncrewed Tianzhou spacecraft completed automated rendezvous and docking maneuvers with Tianhe at 5:01 p.m. Eastern, May 29th. Tianzhou is tasked with delivering propellant and supplies ahead of the first crewed mission to Tianhe in June. So they're going to have their own space station. They're not going to, they're basically disconnecting, or they want to have their own rather than, joining the ISS, which has Russia, China, and the world, right? To me, that's kind of a sign that, tensions are getting bad and that we're not exactly going to play nice in the near future. What do you think, Dex?
Well, currently there's no report that the rocket that took it up there is just going to meander its way down to Earth in an uncontrolled fashion. So on that sense, I think we're okay. But yeah, it's clear that this sort of race to technology has definitely moved up into low Earth orbit, as they call it. And yes, I think we're going to see a lot more from multiple countries jockeying for position in that sector, as well as into other locations like the moon, which we've talked about quite a bit, and of course Mars, which is really far away.
Devon Watkins on YouTube says, "Hell with them." Yeah, go ahead, have your own space station there. Let's see here. I can't read that, but I love that statement right there. Let's see here. Stop the hate. Media love each other, says, really? Yep. And they're making their own false moon, their own false sun. They've got ghost cities with basically millions of, or I would say hundreds of thousands of open apartments, open houses with nobody living there, all made up to look like landmarks that currently exist. It's almost like, other parts of the planet are going to be destroyed, and everybody's going to move to their favorite place. If they lived in New York, which is, possibly going to be destroyed, they would move to New York in the ghost city and have a nice place that looks like what they remembered. Susan Donahue, thank you so much for stopping in, and thank you so much for your support for our channel. Thank you. We're actually doing a whole lot right now, so thank you so much for your financial support of our channel. Dear Adam, Dex, and Mod Squad, thanks for your incredible work. Get prepped up, get prayed up, put on the full armor of God. # Team Humanity. Thank you, Susan. I really do appreciate you. Even if you just pop in, you've almost been here every single episode for 2.5 years, 3 years. So thank you so much. And thank you to everybody else that has not missed a show. I don't even know, especially with how the notifications work, I don't even know how you guys find that I'm live every single time. So thank you so much. All right. Back to it. Intel CEO says chip shortage could persist for a couple of years. If you are new to the show and you haven't seen any of the previous coverage we've done on this or didn't know, all of the little chips that go in pretty much everything are at a shortage, and they say that it's really, really bad, that it's delaying things. The average car, for instance, has over 140 of these chips. They're only made in basically one place in a factory in Taiwan, which of course is now part of this global politics thing where China is trying to take Taiwan back. The reason why Taiwan is such a huge asset is mostly because of that factory that is already making these chips. Again, it says that Pat Gelsinger told a virtual session of the Computex trade show in Taipei that a work and study from home trend during the CV had led to, quote, a cycle of explosive growth in semiconductors that has placed huge strain on global supply chains. So basically saying that everybody's working with devices and working from home, that it's just put a huge hamper down on the supply. It says, while the industry has taken steps to address near-term constraints, it could still take a couple of years for the ecosystem to address shortages of foundry capacity, substrates, and components. It says that he had told the Washington Post in an interview mid-April that the shortage was going to take, quote, a couple of years to abate, and that it planned to start producing chips within 6 to 9 months to address shortages at U.S. car plants. Intel announced U.S. $20 billion plan in March to expand its advanced chip manufacturing capacity, building 2 factories in Arizona and opening its plants to outside customers. It says we plan to expand to other locations in U.S. and Europe, ensuring a sustainable and secure semiconductor supply chain for the world. Dex, do you think they're partly doing this because they don't know what's going to happen with Taiwan?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that is a good thing, is to see that, hey, we're trying to, quickly get more production outside of Taiwan, right? Because there is such a concern. Now, it's not like 100% come out of Taiwan, but a huge percentage come out of, Taiwan Semiconductor Company, which is the one of the largest manufacturers. So yeah, this is good news in the sense, especially it's good news in America for folks looking for jobs, right? But it's also good to think that we're going to diversify that. The other thing that is sort of underlying here that people need to remember is that in all these microchips, there are things called rare earth minerals that go in, and certain countries own a lot of them and other countries don't. And China owns like something like 80%, or it's a significant number of all the mining capacity right now for those rare earth minerals. So it'll be interesting to see how that starts to play in, if it does, as this shortage continues. And do we get to a point where that becomes the chokehold? I know there's been speculation on trying to find and mine that in other locations, like here in the US, especially. I think somebody called in and talked to us on the show about Alaska and other places where they were finding that type of material.
And of course, the Alaska borders here, we've had plenty of people from Alaska write us and say that there is just a ton of military loading up there. And then we showed you evidence that they said that they were putting artillery up there, long-range artillery. So why do they need all of that up there? Of course, there's general security of it. That may be the reason. They said it was for an exercise. Have they brought those long-range artillery back? That's my question. If you have a link or a source that says that they did take back all of that long-range artillery that would, possibly be part of a protection there, let me know. Kelly2334, thank you again. Jones13 Dave says Godspeed. Let's see here. Release the Quacken. Thank you for your support. Kelly2334 again. Thank you. I love Dashhounds. Says, love y'all, Marv Dex and Miss Marv. Judy Dowell, Bear Claws, Scooby-Doo Do-Right. We've got Vault 111. Hey, Marv, praying for your family. Appreciate you. Thank you, Vault. Running with Scissors. We've got, of course, Maui Racing Realtor over on D-Lives. Thank you, guys. And then we've got a bunch of new subscribers just during the show. As always, if you subscribe during the show, you will get a shout-out. Dustin McKenzie, welcome to the Fugel fam. And then we've got Flenix Rising. Thank you for subscribing. Sandra Jaramillo, Robert Kennedy, Nay Chafflin, Linda Wyatt, Gummy Bears. Let's see here. Mary, Kelly Remmel, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. Alik Alahaj, Starter Surfer. We've got Heather Knox. Heather Knox, that sounds super familiar. Derek Brandt, Daniel, thank you so much. And then, of course, Cheryl Nicholson. So all new people that just joined us in the last few minutes, thank you, and thank you. I really do appreciate you. All right. As far as us building the chips, that's a good thing. How Tesla is quietly expanding its energy storage business. Okay, so we called this too. Again, if you follow the show, we told you that after the Texas kind of deep freeze that they had, there was sightings of Tesla putting giant building-sized backup batteries in Texas or around their grid. We also told you that I believed that Tesla was going to play a part in this. Tesla is directly involved in drilling underground holes. Again, they have the Boring Company, which we don't know, but again, I assume that they're helping with deep underground military bases. They pretty much every application of Elon's businesses are connected with the government. You've got the Boring Company digging holes underground. You've got the Mind chip of what do you call it? Dex. What is it called? The my brain is breaking.
Yeah, mine did too. But yes, it's the whole plug in the microchip into the brain.
Yes, but what's the name of it? We're already chipped, aren't we? What the heck
is it? It's called Neuralink.
Sorry. Neuralink. Thank you. Neuralink is connected with the government, and there's all sorts of funding connections there, which, if you think about it, that is the defense against AI in the future. At least that's what Elon says. You've got SpaceX connected directly to the government, flying our astronauts up, apparently. Flying them up to the ISS. You've got them contracted, basically winning all of the government contracts. Now you have Tesla working for a grid. Basically, all of Elon's, all of his businesses are helping. Starlink is now going to be a part of our defense system. We know this for a fact that they have hypersonic sensors in the Starlink system, which I called. That is not only for hypersonic missiles, I think it's for asteroids. That's my personal thoughts about this. Again, ask yourself this. If all of these telescopes around the world, some of the most advanced things, if they did spot something that was going to hit us or that was coming our way, would they tell the public? Absolutely not. And we know that for a fact. They've actually said it recently. They said if that was to happen, it would cause massive panic. If something was going to hit us, an asteroid was going to hit us in, say, 30 years, even if it was 100, 200 years out, and we knew the planet's end date, think about how that would change things. It would be huge. And right now, they're doing all of these tests, all of these simulations, which we've shown you. FEMA and NASA have been doing it. The military has been doing it. All sorts of simulations with asteroids hitting major cities. At the same time, it's just funny that the University of Glasgow has been working with different people, and they said that they essentially figured out a way to get asteroids to hit us. Well, why would you want an asteroid to hit us? Well, they said if you can get it at the right size, not big enough to kill everybody, but big enough to mine, then you can get just unlimited resources. How would you do that? You go out in space and you would smack it towards us. Are they doing that already? Is that why we have now, over the last 4 years that I told you that this not only theory, but basically this thing was said that they could now figured out a way to control them and actually have them come towards us. Have they been doing that? And is that why it has quadrupled in the last 3 years? It's a good question, I think. What do you guys think? Cosmic Gypsy, thank you for subscribing. Yvette Mallory, Black Wall Street 444, thank you. Free Minds and Brendan MF, thank you, and thank you. And James Fox, thanks for your support. It says, how is Tesla quietly expanding its energy storage business? Tesla CEO Elon Musk announced in 2015 that the electric vehicle company would be getting into the energy business. Now it's starting to take off. On its Q4 2020 earnings call, the company said that its battery deployments increased 83% in 2020, particularly thanks to the popularity of the Megapack, which stores energy for utilities. Renewable energy such as solar, wind need battery storage for when the wind isn't blowing and the sun isn't shining. As nations around the world set goals to transition to renewables, demand for these large-scale storage systems is on the rise. Grid battery storage is expected to become a $15 billion market by 2027, according to Grand View Research. They're also telling us by 2030 that everything is going to change. You might only be able to eat one hamburger per month, mandated. You also will have no cars on the road, or that's again if they have it their way. Again, governments around the world are saying that they're agreeing that very shortly your entire life is going to change drastically. They even say it in the agenda that it is going to have to make drastic measures to change everything about our Earth. So think about what we will be sacrificing to get there, and think about what rights you will be losing. It's pretty crazy. And then we have a tweet here about China. Of course, massive, almost biblical floods happening. Floods are hitting China badly. They've opened the sluices at the Three Gorges Dam to discharge floodwater as 97 rivers exceed warning levels. Dex, this is pretty scary looking.
It sure is. And, we've talked about this before because this happened not too long ago where this weather and extreme rain in China was causing the dam to actually get to a point where it could actually break, So, there's a lot, probably hundreds of millions of people that live in the path of that dam. So if something should happen, that would be pretty devastating for the population there. It's also an interesting topic and a rabbit hole that a lot of people like to go down to, which is talking about weather and how that has been turned into potentially something that is used by countries against each other. So.
And of course, now there's been multiple reports that have come out and say that evidence that there are certain things that they could put up there to make things like this happen. Is that part of why Elon Musk is having all of these new research and development into weather stuff as well? That's something that I bet many people are not going to hear about until next year. Local companies like Boeing here in Washington are getting pulled into different projects. DARPA, all of these different projects are going on. And I think that, of course, now they're looking at the weather thing, and more stuff is going to come out publicly. So who knows? What's your opinion on this? I'd love to hear it. All right. And then again, if you do not know, we are a independent channel. We do not have a multi-channel network. We depend on you guys. You guys are our backbone. So we do affiliates. Affiliates is basically something that when you order, you not only get a discount, but you end up helping us with a small commission. So it's a win-win for everybody. If you have not checked out NordVPN, we truly believe that this is one of the best out there. This is a way to protect yourself in the cyber realm. Again, anything that we are affiliated with, we try to make sure that it will either help your life, save your life, or again, make your life better. This can basically hide your IP address. Your IP address can be directly connected to your real address. So it is a big deal to be safe right now, especially with all of the hacking and crazy cyber stuff that's going on, especially since SolarWinds has basically changed the landscape of everything. They got into all 5 military branches. They got into all 500 of those companies you probably have your information on. So I would definitely recommend this. Not only that, you can do fun stuff like put yourself other places in the world and unlock Netflix films that are only available in France, or websites that are blocked where you live are no longer blocked if you put yourself somewhere else. Geographically locked content is actually a big reason why a lot of people do a VPN. Go to marfugelnews.com/VPN and use the special savings code MARFUGEL. Not only will you get a discount, but you'll be helping your favorite channel. Thank you guys in advance. Thank you for everybody that already has it. Really do appreciate you guys. Thank you. And then NK warns of acute and unstable situation in message to the Bee administration. We've seen so many warnings from NK. I think that people are desensitized to it and they don't really care. All I think, though, is how they're connected with China and how they're connected with these other countries that have basically enabled them to keep their money cycle up and their illegal activities going, because these other countries actually help them do so. In return, they do some really nasty stuff that the world doesn't approve of in NK. I know this for a fact. I've talked to multiple military people in our group. They have said that when, even back as far as 15, 20 years ago, these countries were doing illegal stuff there, and now it is super blatant. They're just straight up going in by the truckloads and doing illegal activities there. That's, again, supposed. I should say that just to make sure that we're covering our P's and Q's. NK warned the U.S. it was creating an acute and unstable situation in the region Monday following a recent summit between President Joe and South Korean President Moon. It says the warning of NK's first response to the May 21st summit between the U.S. and South Korean leaders at the White House. It says the Associated Press said, and that Mr. B and Moon had agreed in a joint statement to end decades-long restrictions on South Korea's missile program. So NK is really pissed off about this. It says the U.S. initially barred South Korea from developing missiles with a range of longer than 500 miles over concerns about a regional arms race. The ending of restrictions would allow South K to produce missiles capable of striking all of NK, but stop short of striking potential targets in China and Japan. It's kind of stupid, though. Dex, do you think that do you think they're going to make a missile that, like, you know, stops at a certain point, that like it goes 501 miles and it's like a shopping cart that you leave the store with, and it's like
Exactly. Well, maybe they won't make them with as much fuel, but yeah, I totally. It's also kind of stupid because we've seen that NK has had its own race, and it's going to continue its race, and
it just keeps doing whatever it wants.
You know, we were doing this to prevent them from doing it. Well, they're doing it anyway, so it's like, okay, well, might as well defend yourself, right? Like, at least have the ability to defend yourself instead of us having to defend them. So I on one hand, I sort of think it's okay. But yeah, this is another interesting story as we talk about the races that are going on between, you know, these different types of technology between the countries.
You know, as far as NK, there are a lot of people who do not believe that it is what it seems. Of course, as the public knows, that NK sets up this like public facade. They put up fake grocery stores to make it seem like it's doing really well. When you get into what is generally accepted as fact, is that they are not doing well. They've been cut off from the rest of the world. They're doing all these illegal activities and basically having illegal activities kind of imported to their country, and then export whatever illegal, you know, stuff that they're doing, weapons and such like that. And in return, they're making their money cycle go around. I think, though, that whoever is running it, you know, again, there could be some major operation going on here, and that the father was taken out and Kim could have been put in on purpose. Who knows? What I also know, though, is Kim has not talked publicly for a while, and his sister has been talking about all of this. I have not seen one video that is convincing, that is timestamped or has any proof of it being, you know, relevant to today with Kim in it. Have you? Dex, have you seen a video that is not his sister talking or threatening?
You know, I've seen some people that have presented us, some of the Fugel fam have sent in some different things about this, showing that, oh, he was seen here, he was seen there. Whether or not he's seen, I think the real point is that his sister has been actually much more vocal and taking a very front and center position. And she's been doing it over the last, year and a half now, 2 years, especially since the recent, when everybody thought he had deceased, and they said that all over Twitter and all over different places, and said there was some sort of medical condition. So ever since that point, she has absolutely taken a more front and center position.
So and going back to what Dennis Rodman said, Rodman goes there, he's good friends with Kim. He basically said, if you see his sister talking more, then there's something wrong. Then within weeks, all of a sudden his sister starts talking. This was after a few, 6 months ago, or maybe even a year ago, they thought that he had died. In the news, they reported that he had an operation, that they thought he was dead or even brain dead. And then they came back and said, no, he's still okay. He's slow recovery, but he's good. And that's where his sister started talking. But again, so the Fugel fan that sent us, thank you. Again, I did see at least two of those. Which ones are you talking about, though? Because there's not the one that I saw.
Yeah, I couldn't actually confirm a date on it, right?
There's no way. And I guess the one video too, I had to go into a program to translate, but it wasn't talking about anything, you know, today. It was talking about stuff that was timeless. You know, it was talking about China, and it was talking about Russia, but it was not, you know, hey, it's 2021. Here I am. So if you have evidence of that, send it to us, and I'll quickly correct it. But I haven't seen anything. I think his sister, he got taken out or something happened. CIA went in there or whatever. But that's, again, only my theory and my opinion. Just to clarify. So missiles going to change everything. If they're going to be mad at that, who knows what will happen, though. It's all one big show. Showdown. U.S. NATO wage war games in Europe. Russia to send troops west. The U.S. and its NATO allies on Monday conducted a set of major conflict games across Europe, while Russia responded by announcing plans to send at least 20 new military units to its western border. It says the Memorial Day maneuvers are the latest signs of rising tensions between Washington and Moscow. And it says coming just weeks before President JB is to meet President Vladimir Putin for a high-stakes summit in Geneva. The U.S.-NATO exercises included thousands of ground troops, warships, and aircraft from more than a dozen NATO nations, while traveling a British aircraft carrier off the coast of Portugal. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said that the drills underscore the 72-year-old alliance's military capabilities. So, massive war games can at any point turn into more than just a game. And then, of course, Russia tells U.S. to expect uncomfortable signals ahead of the Putin-B summit. That's a creepy statement. It says Russia said on Monday it would send what it described as uncomfortable signals to the United States ahead of the summit between the two countries. This is next month. So again, what are they saying by doing that? Do you think that this is sanctions? Do you think that they're going to, kick out some diplomats? Do you think that they're going to tell U.S. citizens to go F themselves? Like what is an uncomfortable signal to the U.S.? That's creepy. And it looks like deck's cut out.
Oh, I'm sorry, Adam. I think my button wasn't working. Yeah, I think that one of the signals that's really obvious is going to be something cyber, right? I mean, you would think it would be that. And then it's also, in my mind, we may even see some new tests that come out, right? And they did say they're moving more military towards their western borders. So seeing that happen will also cause a little bit of consternation and turmoil as you see that troop buildup. Like, why? What are they doing? Of course, they'll say it's for training, just like they did in the Ukraine.
Well, and again, are they saying that they're going to indirectly do something that can't exactly be proven or something? I don't get that. It says, quote, the Americans must assume that a number of signals from Moscow will be uncomfortable for them, including in the coming days. Sergei Ryabkov, Russia's deputy foreign minister, was quoted by saying the RA news agency. So what the hell does that mean? I would say keep your head on a swivel just in general, because any of this could turn into real stuff. There's all one big show, but when does that big show have its finale? They say the boy who cried wolf. I think that one day we will meet the wolf. It says the actions of our Western colleagues are destroying the world's security system and force us to take adequate countermeasures. The Interfax news agency quoted Shoigu as saying around 20 military formations and units will be formed in the Western Military District by the end of the year. So something is going on. I would say keep your head on a swivel. Russia says it is ready to use force to stop unfriendly foreign action. So that's that statement is saying that they're ready to use force elsewhere to stop stuff that they don't agree with. Moscow, a senior Russian security official, said on Monday Moscow would be ready to use force to stop what he described as, quote, unfriendly actions by other countries, the Interfax news agency reported. The comments by Nikolai Patrushev, the secretary of Russia's Security Council, came ahead of the summit of the leaders of Russia and the United States next month. We'll see. We'll see what's going on. All of the mainstream is painting Russia as the bad guy, of course, and it's an easy out. Maybe they have an agreement with Mr. Putin there. But at the same time, you've got China doing obvious things that are like right in our face. So I don't really understand it. But then, of course, they're allies. That's what makes a lot of people think that it's all one big, agreement. But I would say even if that's the case, if they were to knock out the grid of the entire world and clean up stuff, guess where these guys will be? They'll be in their nice, cushy places, and they'll be able to wait it out, and they'll have a plan, a very intricate plan set up to still stay in charge and even have more power when it ends. And I'm talking about all of the people in that structure. I like how they say Russian SolarWinds hackers are back with a new wave of cyber attacks, Microsoft warrants. The same Russian hackers behind the massive SolarWinds breach have launched a new wave of cyber attacks targeting government agencies, think tanks, consultants, and NGOs. Okay, people, if you're not awake yet, open your eyes. They are saying that they are basically telling us that more government agencies, think tanks, consultants, and NGOs are being hacked as we speak, and that they've just accessed more stuff. It says, why it matters. The revelation of the ongoing attack comes less than 2 months after the U.S. imposed sanctions and expelled Russian diplomats in response to the SolarWinds hack, described by Microsoft as the most sophisticated attack the world has ever seen. Remember, all 5 branches of the military, the Pentagon, all 500 of the most massive companies that were using SolarWinds, all were hacked. That means anywhere your information is, it probably got hacked. All of the businesses, they could shut down, and banks, they could shut it all down tomorrow. Microsoft said the hacking group Nobelelium, which is linked to Russia's main intelligence agency, was behind the attack. Supposedly. Again, I don't know how they actually... They also said that the pipeline, half of our pipeline getting shut down, half of the East Coast pipeline got shut down. Part of our infrastructure. And they said that that was just a little group, right? Well, if that little group can do that, think about what an actual group like this could have effect on. It's and again, they're not putting exact proof of how we know this is Russia. It could be China and Russia. It could be both, or it could be China. We don't know. They said that they knew about the pipeline hack because they said that it didn't affect Russian-speaking computers. So if the computer's default language was set as Russian, they said that those computers weren't affected. So I guess everybody should set their language to Russian when they're not sitting around, you know. Dex, have you thought about that? We could just switch all of our devices to Russian, right?
Yeah, that's one way to do it, right? So this hack that they did this time is really interesting in the sense that they gained access to a specific government's email systems, and it's actually a third-party email system, kind of like the we talked about the Microsoft email system, but this is one from Constant Contact, which is a company that does marketing emails. But because they were able to get that, they were able to send out emails that look like they were coming from the official email address, which would in this case, I believe it's usaid.gov, which is a government email address. And when they would send that email, a person who's expecting that email thinks it's coming from the right person, clicks the link, and it takes them to a page that would then look like the page they were expecting to go to, in which case they would type in their username and password, and boom, now they would have their information, and they would then go to the real place and log in with it, right? That's phishing 101, as they call it, how they do these phishing attacks. But they're getting really smart about how they're implementing them in ways that look real. I mean, most of the cheap, inexperienced hackers will do something like send you an email from some strange email address at gmail.com and make it look like your bank. And if you're just smart enough to realize it's not coming from your bank, it's not the right email, right?
Yeah. You're so talking about amateurs
sending
you like a screenshot that looks like your bank to they actually hack the bank to get you to sign in. Like,
yeah, and oh, by the way, broken English in the subject line, your bank account needs to be verified, or something really stupid, right? But this is really high end. Like, they're getting into the major mail companies, and then they're sending official emails out, and that's how they're gaining access to these backdoors.
So watch out. You need to keep a sense about you, even if it looks like an official website. Just be very cautious. If it's a website that, is something that can affect your livelihood, if it's something like, a company that you might get a free mug out of or something, and they might get your password to a website that you get a free mug from or something, that's one thing. But we're talking about, what if they do it and send it to you from, irs.gov? and you put your stuff in there, and then they can go in there and get all of your information or whatever it may be. Just using some broad examples, but be extremely careful. That's again why we recommend things like VPNs and different, and there's more. There's better ways to protect yourself even beyond that. I think that everybody should go that extra mile and research in what that looks like. Nana Deborah, thank you so much. Shay Lee, 72, thank you. Scooby-Doo Right. We've got Jacktronics. Bearclaws, thank you. Kelly2334, thank you again. Susie P. And thank you so much for the Ninja Genie says, who's to say what or our government didn't just allow access? Who's to say our government didn't just allow it? Yes, exactly. Who's to say that it's not CIA working with them? Amber B. Subaru WRX, it's so nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. NordVPN, hold on, won't let us use the Russian server now. No way. That's a trick.
Well, it may be that Russia's not allowing it. You know, they've isolated their internet, so they can now control what is allowed in and out of their own internet. So it could,
that is a trick.
It could be that.
Amber, thank you for letting me know. I've never tried to go to Russia. So if you don't know what she's talking about, with NordVPN, you have kind of a global map, and there are different servers around the world. You used to be able to put yourself, say, in France or in Russia. She says now you cannot use NordVPN to go to Russia. That's weird. We've also covered that they've separated their internet, so I believe it. I totally believe it. That's actually almost video worthy. And then Susie P again. Thank you. Doots Bug, thank you. Judy Dowell, Sean Penrod, Miss Me V2. We've got Unicorn Forest, Bobby. Thank you for following. And then Morning Dew, thank you for subscribing. I like that. Morning DEW. Keith LaFleur, thank you so much for subscribing. Moving Mountains, thanks to who gave everything for our freedom. Love us. Love the U.S. Moving Mountains, love that comment. James Hosnick, thank you for subscribing. We've got GMI Cicaleda Gonzalez, thank you for subscribing as well. Gata the Great just hit that subscribe. Julie M just hit it. And Prepper Tribe says, thank you for all you do. Let's see here. Amber says, I use Nord because of the show. NordVPN because of the show. Well, thank you. And I'm sure you've probably, looks like you've played around with it, and sometimes it's fun. Putting yourself different places. Some sites like Google are actually blocked in other countries. You can only access it if you use a VPN and go out. So, very telling there, the countries that block it. Exclusive U.S. monitoring ships that may be headed to Venezuela. Why does this matter, Dex? Is this not exactly the scenario that we've been kind of...
Absolutely. So, here we go. We've got these ships. We don't know what's on them. They're disguised. They're under disguise. And the military is telling us that they're, monitoring them because now they think they're en route to Venezuela. And, there's no telling what may be coming off of them and where they will be going after that.
And by the way, from Venezuela, there was about a year and a half back, there was boomers that were put in Venezuela that in 30 minutes could reach, with nuclear-capable booms, Florida. So within 30 minutes, at whatever Mach speed that it was at, could get to Florida in about 30 minutes. They were parking them in Venezuela. Is that right, or am I mistaken, Dex?
Oh, no, it was 30 minutes away.
Yeah, but it was Venezuela, right?
Oh, yeah, it was Venezuela.
Yeah, so there's some concern there, especially with ran to the store, them showing us this huge underground missile city. So one thing I hear a lot of is like, oh, this is all mainstream, blah, blah. Some of this has to be true. So if you're looking at all of this and saying that absolutely everything is a distraction, I would say that's not smart. You need to keep your head on a swivel because one of these, you're going to win the lotto, and one of them is going to be real. And one of these is going to be so real, it's going to affect the rest of your life. One of these is going to be so real, it's going to affect history forever. One of these is going to be so real that your lights will go out and you think, oh, nothing happened. Nothing. Oh, it will come right back on. But what if it doesn't? Just to make sure that you know, it says an I frigate and the Macron, a former oil tanker that was converted to a floating forward staging base, like a forward operating base, have been headed south along the east coast of Africa, said the people who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss a sensitive subject. It says U.S. officials do not know for sure the destination of the I ships. These officials said, but believe they may be ultimately headed for Venezuela. Their intent there is in sending the vessels in a direction of the Western Hemisphere remains a mystery, the people said, as does their cargo. So they could be taking those, container launchers and putting them in Venezuela. They could be doing a whole lot of stuff. So that's why they're watching it. The two countries, both of them facing severe U.S. sanctions, have developed closer ties over the last few years, with cooperation ranging from gasoline shipments to joint car and cement factory projects. So they're looking at this to possibly see if they're sending missiles there or sending something that can be launched. I warns against miscalculations after reports about allegedly Venezuela-bound warships. So explain this. So basically this came out, and now they are basically saying they're pissed off about it, right?
Oh, yeah. They're warning about it now. This story came out, and based on the story, they are now responding.
So obviously they're responding because it's something that it hit them. They weren't expecting people to know. It says an earlier political report claimed that U.S. national security officials were closely monitoring the movements of two naval vessels, a frigate and a former oil tanker, the Macron, which were believed to be headed for Venezuela. It says the Foreign Ministry has responded to media reports about the two flagged warships believed to be heading for Venezuela, underscoring that the Republic is entitled to freedom of navigation. So they've confirmed, it says, has constant presence in an international waters, is entitled to this right on the basis of international waters or international law, and can be present in international waters. No country can violate such a right, stated Foreign Ministry spokesman Sahid Khatizadeh. It says, I warn that nobody should make a miscalculation. Those who live in a glass house must be cautious. That is flippin' creepy, Dex.
Yeah, it certainly is. They're admitting, almost admitting, hey, yeah, we have the right to do what it is we're doing. You probably think that's what we're doing, and stay out of our business. And if you're going to get in our business, then, we'll respond.
We'll throw a rock at your glass house. That's, that's creepy. So, again, this is 800-foot-long former oil tanker that was converted to a floating forward operating base vessel, allegedly able to accommodate 6 or 7 helicopters as well as drones, had been southward bound along the east coast of Africa. Macron stated the report could be used as a platform for electronic warfare and special operations missions. EMP and electronic warfare, radar jamming, all sorts of stuff. Free Minds, thank you. Robert Ballard, thank you for subscribing. Christ Warrior, as always, if you subscribe during the show, you will get a shout out. Thank you, everybody that's joined us. Amber B. Subaru WRX, thank you for being here again. Keith LaFleur, again, thank you. Okay, Dex, do you want to show? We've got a lot of content on the website you won't see anywhere else because it's not going to be shown. It's too hot for TV, or it's stuff that we can't stay neutral on. I do believe that news should be neutral, or at least as much as possible. If there's stuff that is completely biased, I try to stay away from it because I think that you should read and be able to have an opinion for yourself. Dex, can you explain what's down below?
Yeah, there's certainly some interesting statements from lots of leaders. There's definitely something going on with some pocket lining of cash and what's going on there, at least being alleged that's going on. You might want to take a look at. Plenty of politicians and the noise that they like to make. It's also interesting to see. And then a former general that is very famous has come out and made some pretty strong statements that I know a lot of folks are going to be interested in hearing about. So definitely go take a look, marfugelnews.com, and then look for this thumbnail, click on it, scroll down, and you'll see a section called web only content. And that is everything else that we couldn't talk about.
Well, thank you, Dex, and thank you, everybody that showed up today. Tomorrow, we will have live calls at 224-400-MARF. Mountain Dew, I think I saw you make a comment about calling in. If you would like to, make sure to be around 6 to 8 o'clock tomorrow to get in on the show. We do have our phone system up and running again. It was not fun. Last week, that show sucked. We had several things going on in the background. Dex had to deal with the phones. I had my computer crash. You had your mixer crash. So your voice, I was calling for you, and you were like totally gone. It was Murphy's Law last week, but not the Murphy's Law screen name. She's awesome.
Yeah, she is.
But yeah, it was pretty fun. Dex, can you read the top 5 supporters over on DLive? And I know who the top supporter over on YouTube is. Susan Donahue. Thank you, Gone Girl 777. Thank you for your massive support of our channel. And then, of course, I believe there's a couple of Mary Kelly Ramel and Eliza Nunez. Thank you as well. Who are the top 5 over on DLive?
In the number 5 position, we have Running with Scissors. Number 4, Fancy Fox 27. Number 3, Griffle. Number 2, Susie P. And in the number 1 position, thank you very much, is Kelly 2334.
Kelly 2334. Well, again, usually the top supporters, I make a silly song about them, and then it's a shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. It's where I say thank you to the people that matter most. It's kind of like the credits to the show. Only you are the credits. So, love you guys. Be safe. Be prepared. Oh, and make sure to subscribe to our 3rd channel. You, of course, if you haven't subscribed yet to Marfugel News, it's about to hit 200,000 this year, hopefully. And then make sure to subscribe to Marfugel Jams. You can find all of that at marfugelnews.com. Have a wonderful night. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out.
Back broken and I roll up my sleeves. Hey, like Christopher Reeves. Back broken and I roll up my sleeves. Hey, like Christopher Reeves. Back broken and I roll up my sleeves. Boom, hey. Boom. Boom. Boom, 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 boom.
Kelly at 234. I bring it down to homemade heaven and more. Carry on the F and twin and madam. And the Babylon and Cassie Dallum. Dallum and I must tell them. Bring it down now, no, a felon. Felon from the old land of the love. Go right back, that man up above. The G.O.D. stop me from the O.D. Carter Rossi and a 4D. Got me down, but I got myself up. And I bring it down now, oh so corrupt.
Back broken and I roll up my sleeves. Hey, like Christopher Reeves. Back broken and I roll up my sleeves. Hey, like Christopher Reeves.
Venus Allen, the Kirk Thompson. Leah Johnson. Jen on the wish and the on man. And then everybody all caps in. Bringing old rock for life. Saved by grace and everybody right. A Jeannie F. Chandler, Susan Plu. Bring it right back, real us to a blue. Mighty Tort and the Sandra in Texas. Running with scissors and everybody X's. Oh, with the Lady XC. Bring it right down, oh Tyke sexy. Bring it back now, oh so perplexing. Keep it Team Angel on the guest league.
Like Christopher Reeves. Back broken and I roll up my sleeves. Hey, like Christopher Reeves. Back broken and I roll up my sleeves.
Everybody wanna know Sandra, a Jeremillo, and everybody got a shot. And they're gonna cut it in half. Bring it right back down and back. is what we've got now. The Neo Chamberlain and the Bold Cow. I bring it right down like the Linda White Eye. Gummy bears down now, Mary Kelly Rimmer. I'll bring it down now, I hit it with the Dremel. No, seriously, with the Dremel. Everybody loves Kelly 2, 3, 3, 4. Kelly 2, 3, 3, 4. Up, Kelly on the 2, 3, 3, 4. Kelly 2, 3, 3, 4. Up, Kelly on the 2, 3, 3, 4. Kelly 2, 3, 3, 4. Up, Kelly on the 2, 3, 3, 4. Kelly 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 2, 3, 3, 4.
Back broken and I roll up my sleeves. Hey, like Christopher Reeves. Back broken and I roll up my sleeves. Hey, like Christopher Reeves. Back broken and I roll up my sleeves. Hey, like Christopher Reeves. Boom. Boom.
Stephen McMahon on the Everybody Plan on the FG chart on the so what? I did it back now in the back of fuck. I genie up channel in the Casper zone. Hey, on the Leo Bozo, move over, chum over. I bring it down over. With all this, I draw farm in the hairy balls. Bring it back down in y'all. Team Angel get hits off. I poke it low. Logo, I'll do allow. Everybody with the Cascadia Franny, thank you so much for your support.
Boom. Boom.
Cynthia Pillow, I sure hope you do. Thank you for every single replay watcher here. I got the Kirk Time champagnes over matters. I bring it, everybody knows I got had it. Had it who like the map, man. I had it. The Phoenix Rising, I'm timing everything so I can go find it. It's all freestyle, all for the top of the head. Bring back all of my dead friends. Drop dead Fred and imaginary friends. Monfugal, stay healthy, happy and amazing. A jam wish everybody on hazing. Never should happen, never go casing. Joints, everybody point and no. I gotta go with the people on low. Must shout on the whole sign. K.A. Paul, go and call him. It doesn't really matter. Chant on Kale, going and harder. Oh, I know that. Bear class lows that. Don't tip it on, pump day. Don't tip it on, pump day. Susan on a you. 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 Holiday kiss and we the people. Bring it down now and we the sheepo. Save yourself, sheepo. Not sure and we don't. Susan on a you. Susan on a you. Susan on a you. Susan on a you.
Hey, like Christopher